KPBS On Demand is supported by Latino Legacy Foundation, presenting their Storyteller series, Reach for the Stars with Ellen Ochoa, the first Latina astronaut, former NASA director, and San Diego native, Sunday, June 29th. More at latinolegacyfoundation.org.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Cruz. It's Monday, February 24th. How the county's free legal defense program might protect people wrongly detained under Trump's deportation plan. More on that next, but first, the headlines. The North Coastal Sheriff's Station launched a program called Call Me Back. Here's how it works. After a deputy responds to a call, they contact the resident that requested the service and tell them how the call was handled. The aim of the program is to inform citizens and build trust between law enforcement and the community. The city of San Diego wants to know how it can make public spaces more welcoming for kids, teens, and their parents. You can share your thoughts in a survey on sandiego.gov. It's open through March 7th. Some of the questions ask families' favorite places to go and how inviting they find spaces like parks and beaches. The responses will inform the Child and Teen-Friendly City Initiative. This program aims to develop better public spaces for youth. If you're wanting to lean into the zero-waste lifestyle, now's your chance. The City of Chula Vista has opened applications for its Zero Waste Academy course. Zero waste means reducing garbage by doing things like reusing jars or buying compostable products. The course has 4 lessons and runs from March 15th to April 5th. The program is part of Chula Vista's Zero Waste Plan. The plan was approved by the City Council in 2022 and seeks to divert waste from the Otay Mesa landfill. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Paint Care, offering households and businesses in California more than 800 leftover paint drop-off sites for recycling. Quantities of 100-plus gallons of paint may qualify for a large volume pickup. Learn more at paintcare.org.
In 2021, San Diego became the first border county in the nation to offer free legal representation for people in immigration court. Border reporter Gustavo Solis says the program has helped hundreds of people avoid deportation.
In 2023, a woman identified only as Miss R, who had already been deported twice, was about to be deported for a 3rd time. She was being held at the Otay Mesa Detention Center, and that's where a lawyer from San Diego County's Immigrant Legal Defense Program looked over her case. And the lawyer discovered that the woman had been a U.S. citizen since 1982.
The U.S. government had messed up, made a clerical error on their paperwork, and they were a U.S. citizen.
That's County Supervisor Tara Lawson-Reamer. She created the Legal Defense Program to protect people like Miss R, who are facing deportation without an attorney.
This, to me, is such a perfect example of why you need to ensure due process and that the Constitution is followed. So you could have a U.S. citizen being deported.
To qualify for the program, people have to be physically detained at the Otay Mesa Detention Center or on some kind of monitored release program. Lawson-Reamer says this program addresses systematic injustices in immigration court.
Even though you have a legal right to counsel, it's a right in theory because there's no attorneys provided. And so you could show up in immigration court and not have an attorney. You don't understand what the law is. You don't know what you've been charged with.
And that means some people get deported not because of the strength of their argument or the quality of their evidence, but because they simply do not understand our complex immigration laws. And data from the immigration court system bears this out. Last year, 85% of people without lawyers got deportation orders, but only 14% of people with lawyers got the same outcome. Showing up in court without a lawyer puts a defendant at a significant disadvantage. So says Paulina Reyes Berariz, a lawyer with the Immigrant Defenders Law Center.
maybe they missed something in their story that would have been helpful to highlight, perhaps that they thought it wasn't important at the time, or were able to also connect them with the medical evaluation to really document perhaps the scars that they have on their bodies, something that they would not have shown in front of a judge.
Reyes Perariz says the program is more important than ever now that Donald Trump is back in the White House and promising an unprecedented mass deportation operation.
So if we see more expedited removals or ICE raids within our community, we're able to use this program for anyone that might need an attorney, especially if it's going to be longtime citizens or residents here in San Diego County.
Now, the program is not without controversy. The County Board of Supervisors approved it in 2021 on a 3-2 vote, with Democrats voting in favor and Republicans in opposition. At the time, Supervisor Jim Desmond said,
and to me, this is a federal issue, and unfortunately, not the financial responsibility of a local county government.
In 2023, Supervisor Joel Anderson tried to block people with criminal convictions from getting pro bono legal representation. That effort ultimately failed. The program cost taxpayers just over $4 million in its first 2 fiscal years. It is fully funded for the current fiscal year. Michael Garcia is the county's chief deputy public defender. He manages the program. More than 40 lawyers participate, but Garcia says that is still not enough to meet the demand.
In San Diego, there's a limited number of resources when it comes to immigration representation. There aren't that many lawyers. It's not like people aren't getting rich, doing immigration law.
And these cases take a long time to make their way through the court system.
That creates a lot of challenges in, making sure that caseloads aren't too high, that our lawyers aren't overworked. It's part of the reason why I'm always kind of looking for lawyers.
Garcia says that without more lawyers, the program may have to limit the number of cases they assign. Lawson Reamer is already thinking of ways to expand the program.
Do we need to increase it, right? Like scale it up, especially given, what we might see coming out of, or what we are seeing coming out of Washington. So there might be a need to increase the program.
And she might already be getting some help from Sacramento. Earlier this month, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law that puts aside $25 million for legal groups to help them defend immigrants facing deportation. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
A local lawmaker is trying to roll back parts of California's immigration sanctuary law. Reporter Melissa May tells us what's in the new bill and why a coalition of community groups oppose it.
Senate Minority Leader Brian Jones says he wrote the Safety Before Criminal Sanctuary Act in response to a San Diego County policy on immigration enforcement. He announced Senate Bill 554 in front of the County Administration Building Friday, saying it does 2 things.
Number 1, it prohibits local jurisdictions from further restricting cooperation with immigration officials beyond what current sanctuary law allows. Number 2, it mandates cooperation for specific violent crimes that are convicted.
Jones says those violent crimes include child abuse, drug and human trafficking, rape, kidnapping, torture, and gang activity. Several community-based groups came to Jones's event to protest, including the American Friends Service Committee. Their director, Pedro Rios, says this bill could separate families.
We won't stand for measures that introduce hate into our communities.
SB 554 was just introduced and still needs to be assigned to a Senate committee for a hearing. Melissa May, KPBS News.
San Diego's preparing to lower speed limits on a handful of commercial streets. Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says it's part of a larger plan to manage speeds and improve traffic safety.
Among the streets that would see new 20 miles per hour speed limits are segments of 30th Street in North Park and Newport Avenue in Ocean Beach. In 2021, the state legislature gave cities slightly more flexibility in setting speed limits, which are typically based on the actual speeds people drive, not what's safe. Gail Freet of the activist group Vibrant Uptown told a city council committee Thursday, speed limit signs alone won't slow drivers down.
We need tangible infrastructure changes, narrow lanes, speed humps, roundabout, raised crosswalks, and protected bike lanes that physically enforce safer speeds.
City staff say they're working on a comprehensive speed management plan that could lower speed limits on even more streets. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
In northern Imperial County, the tiny town of Nyland is still fighting to get its post office reopened. Imperial Valley reporter Corey Suzuki says residents there have been cut off from daily access to the mail for more than 3 years now.
Since February 2022, Nyland resident Juanita Wolford has been paying for a P.O. box that no longer exists.
I guess I'm paying to get my mail, when the mail's supposed to be free anyway. But I pay $84 a year for the P.O. box that we don't have anymore.
In 2022, Nyland's post office was destroyed in a fire, cutting off daily service for several small, poorer communities on the north end of the Imperial Valley. The Postal Service promised to reopen it as quickly as possible. During the past 3 years, U.S. senators have urged the Postmaster General to act. Nyland community leaders have held protests. County officials have offered to donate buildings to help. But the Nyland post office is still closed.
So it really cut out a lot, even including for the people in Nyland. There was other little towns that had P.O. boxes here too, so it devastated a lot of people.
In a statement last week, Postal Service officials said they're trying to fill the gap with a temporary mail truck that visits the town for pickups on weekdays. But still no word on when the post office will reopen. In Nyland, Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
It's the last week of Museum Month, and there are dozens of amazing places to visit across San Diego County. Reporter John Carroll found one out-of-the-way place in Carlsbad that gives a huge platform to very small things.
Tucked in among a business park in the eastern stretches of Carlsbad is the Miniature Engineering Craftsmanship Museum.
We're not really an educational institution, but one of our missions is to educate.
As general manager and curator of the museum, Terry Miller and his docents do a lot of education delivered through observing and interacting with a mixture of models, machines, motors, mechanics, and more, all in miniature. He gave us a tour that started off with one of the museum's premier pieces. Miller calls it model making on steroids.
This is a 1932 Duesenberg. It has a running 8-cylinder engine. All the major components you'd find in the original Duesenberg are here and working. It took 20,000 hours to finish this automobile. Now that's basically 10 years, 8 to 5 days a week.
More than 90% of the creations actually work in this place. A place where imagination sparks creativity that combines with skill and a whole lot of patience to make amazing things in miniature. Check out the gallery of pictures we've got on our website, kpbs.org. John Carroll, KPBS News.
You have until Friday to visit the Miniature Museum and other cultural institutions for 50% off admissions. More than 70 museums and cultural institutions are participating. Go to SanDiegoMuseumCouncil.org for a list. You can also download a digital Museum Month pass, or you can get a pass at any San Diego Public Library. That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Debbie Cruz. Thanks for listening and have a great Monday.
KPBS On Demand is supported by Fleet Science Center's newest exhibit, Survival of the Slowest. See firsthand how nature's smallest, slowest, and weakest creatures can not only survive, but thrive in the wild. Open May 24th through September 1st. Learn more at fleetscience.org.